Hello and welcome back to the Weekly Gaming News Show. I'm your host Sony. This week we have stories on Crytek's Hunt Showdown and some other game-related events and news. But first we have a story from Treyarch, or at least Rumors. Treyarch being one of the biggest developing studios in gaming in recent years because of their big releases like Black Ops 2, and Black Ops 3, currently owned by Activision, a titanic game publisher who currently also own Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer under their wing, and release games like Call of Duty on a yearly basis. Now Activision have this yearly policy that they release a Call of Duty game every year, but it cycles between developers like Infinity Ward, Treyarch, and Sledgehammer. Now, Infinity Ward and Sledgehammer have both already released their game with Infinity Warfare and Call of Duty World War II, and now it's Treyarch's turn, and so far they have been very reluctant to stick to the Black Ops market, or at least that's what this rumor suggests. And if this is true, I hope that what happened in Black Ops 3, where it was loot boxes and microtransactions, cut content, and just horrible optimization all across the board as well, I hope it doesn't take on that code. Because as bad as Black Ops 3 was, I really hope that Black Ops 4, if this rumor is true, is a good game. We need another good Call of Duty game. World War II isn't great, but it definitely isn't bad. I definitely put some time into it. Moving on to Hunt Showdown's major hurdles, some guys at PC Gamer were able to play the alpha test of the game Hunt Showdown, made by Crytek, and they had some pretty interesting things to say about it. All in all, the game in concept is very cool. It's essentially PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, except the map doesn't exactly shrink size. You're sent out to hunt creatures or monsters, and each area on the map you go to, you get a clue drawing you closer to that monster, but players will also be able to track your progress and actively fight you against finding the monster in favor of them finding and killing said monster. It's a huge brawl of PvE and PvP, and it looks pretty cool, but the alpha gameplay says otherwise. Now, before we get into the issues, I'd like to remind you what Crytek have done in the past. They've made games like Crysis 1 through 3, and they've also been attempting to sue Cloud Imperium over their game Star Citizen. They've also been behind the CryEngine, which is amazing, and every game company seems to swear by it, which brings us to the confusion of Hunt Showdown. Now, the guys over at PC Gamer who got to play this have pretty high-end PCs. Some of them are running dual 980 Ti's, and one of them is running a 1080 Ti. That and their CPUs are beefy, and I mean beefy. I would want having an i7 6800K, which is a pretty expensive and pretty good CPU. But when people running systems like that are having frame issues, it raises some questions at how polished this game is. Now, this game is set to release sometime this year. I think it was in the third or fourth quarter of this year. And in my opinion, they have enough time to polish this game. But if you are having optimization issues with your video game, try not to make it so pretty. I get graphics are everything for video games, especially for trailers. But if it means that I cannot play the game, I'm definitely not going to buy the game if it comes out. And then you have the enemy AI pathing. A lot of them seem to sometimes ignore the player. Sometimes they just get stuck still in random places. Sometimes they spawn in random places too. All in all, the AI is a mess. It needs cleaning up. Hopefully they clean this up and also have another alpha test, or even a beta test, because I feel like alpha and beta mean very different things these days. Beta usually is just, hey, instead of us giving you the game early so you can test it for us, it's just, hey, look at what you're going to get. And if that means that it's going to be a buggy mess, you can expect that on launch. And then alpha is just, pay us for an early access game that we haven't finished yet because we need funding. I get making a game is hard these days, but some things that some developers and publishers do, it seems so baffling why they would do them. Either way, I hope Hunt Showdown is a good game and is a great game at that actually, because I love the concept. But right now, it's just not shaping up to be a decent game for me to pre-order. Quickly moving on, we're going to go through some of the mid-month events. Of course, we're coming up onto Valentine's Day, so Destiny 2 is having its own Valentine's event. It's called Crimson Days. The event starts February 13th, and I think it ends at around the 18th. Again, I've found multiple sources saying the 18th, the 19th, or the 20th, so I'm not too sure, but I'm just gonna go with the 18th. The new Overwatch Year of the Dog skins are out, and some of them look great. Sadly, I don't own the game. And Rainbow Six is also having a free weekend that starts on February 15th. And last but not least, our game releases. First off, we're starting with Owlboy that releases on February 13th for the Switch, Xbox One, and the PS4. And I highly recommend you get that game. I love Owlboy. I have it on PC and it's phenomenal. The graphics for an 8-bit game are great, and it's got a great story. It's amazing. And then Kingdom Come Deliverance also releases on February 13th for PC, Xbox One, and PS4. And this game kind of reminds me of Chivalry, but with a story and more open world. I'm not too sure how to explain this, actually. If you're not seeing what Chivalry is, it's kind of like it's just a medieval fighting game, but it's a little more complex than that. You have to time things. You have to actually have skill, is what I'm trying to say. But besides from that, that's all we've got for this week's episode of the Gaming News Show. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment on what you want to see or hear next, and I'll catch you in the next one.